What's up, beautiful people? I'm Erin, and this is Erin on Demand, and today we are talking about how to make the Instagram algorithm actually love you, and basically how to blow up on Instagram this year. Now, I know a lot of us have lost hope in Instagram because they are constantly doing updates, constantly making changes, and it can leave us feeling like the platform it's impossible to grow or get a grip on. But that is not the case, and I'm going to share with you some different strategies that I have tested out and they actually work to help your Instagram grow really fast. So let's get into them. Number one is to keep your content ideas really simple. It is very easy to overthink on Instagram, and when you do that, the content just ends up not performing well. And I've found that the simpler the content idea, the easier it is for people to consume. So whether it is a reel or a carousel, if the text on screen is easy to read, if the audio is easy to hear, if the video is clear and easy to watch, and if what the storyline is simple enough for people to relate to and easily, understand, then they're more likely to watch it. And we'll get more into hooks and all of those things in the next tip. Okay, so I'm sure you've heard how important it is to hook your audience. And basically what a hook is the attention grabber. What is the one sentence that you can say at the beginning of the piece of content that is going to hook your audience? Now, here's the thing about hooks though. You don't have to say them. There are different ways that you can hook your audience. So here are the different ways. Number one is you can hook them through verbally what you're saying, or through audio. So you can be saying it, or it can just be the sound inside of the video. The second way you can hook is through text on screen. And the third way you can hook is through the actual visual. So I'm going to give some examples so you can get a clear understanding on what I mean. But in the perfect world, you will be using all of these hook techniques in one piece of content. But you don't have to. You can use one hook, or you can double up your hooks. And I'm going to show you how some creators have done that. Here's the first example. This is a food video, and you can hear the natural sound of how crispy this croquette is. And you can see there's a visual hook as well, where you can see her opening the croquette and see how crispy it looks. And then she also has a text hook, which is text on screen describing what the actual food is. So this one is triple hooked. Second example is one of my pieces of content on our family page, and it is how to have a smooth pregnancy, like tips on how to have a smooth pregnancy. And on this one, we actually have a visual hook and a text hook. So the visual hook is me sitting there getting the ultrasound, and then the text hook is the text on screen. Third example is this sick day essentials reel.
We are heading into sick season. I took the afternoon to build my little sick day kit.
I think this is so cute, and the way that she uses text on the video is very unique. She doesn't just use text that's provided in Instagram. She actually puts it on a little caddy, so that is actually a visual hook for us to kind of see like, ooh, what is she doing? I think that this was a great way to hook the audience, as well as this is also very timely. So the verbal hook is also very strong because we are in sick season as this video is being recorded. So these are some ways you can mix up your hooks. They don't all have to be the same, but one thing you can say is common through all of these videos is that they use text on screen, which is one of the most powerful tools that you can use on Instagram to make sure your audience is hooked, and make sure if people don't have their audio turned on, they're still able to grasp some sort of hook from your content without hearing. So, moral of the story, have at least one type of hook, but if you can, double up or triple your hook. So always be thinking, how can I visually hook people? How can I audibly hook people? And then how can I hook people with text? Next thing to amp up your Instagram and get the algorithm loving you is the quality of your video. Now, You want your video quality to have great lighting. You want it to be very crisp and clear. And I love, love, love the Nikon Z30 for this. I think it is the perfect camera for creating short form content because you can just turn it to the side and record vertical content. It's so easy to use and the quality is chef's kiss. Now, one of my favorite features is that it comes with a remote if you buy the creator bundle. And this remote allows you to press record. It allows you to kind of mix up the settings and you don't have to actually touch the camera. And that can slow down the entire process. When I'm recording short form, especially if I'm not using my phone, if I'm using an actual camera, I want it to just be a seamless process. I'm not trying to have it be overcomplicated. And the Nikon Z30 is so user-friendly. Plus, you have that remote control so that you can press record. You can also take your thumbnail photos. So, for Instagram, you need a good thumbnail photo. I love to, right after I finish recording the video, I love to take a thumbnail photo with the Nikon Z30. And the photos are just as bomb as the videos. And it's super easy to just toggle from photo mode to video mode on this camera to keep the content creation process streamlined. And lastly, one of my other favorite features about the Z30 is the ability to customize your settings. So they have these buttons called U1, U2, U3. So maybe your U1 is for Instagram. And if you record a lot of your Instagram videos in the same kind of set or setting, and you want to customize those settings based on how your lighting is, how your background is, you can make sure you set those and then set them to the U1 button. And that might be your Instagram button or your Instagram settings. And whenever you toggle to U1, those settings are automatically there. So that is a great way to customize it and save time in your content creation process, especially if you kind of record with a similar cadence every time. So if you are interested in the Nikon Z30, especially if you love like amping up that quality, if you're looking to kind of upgrade your content and give it that extra polished look, I highly recommend this camera, especially with the creator bundle because it comes with the remote, it comes with the microphone, and it comes with a little handheld tripod that you can use for vlogging or as, a little desktop tripod, which I love. Okay, next way to make the algorithm love you is to mix up your posts. I know a lot of us are so stuck on posting reels 24/7, but Instagram actually values more than just reels. They love, or it loves, carousels as well. And people are getting really creative with carousels, kind of making them feel like vloggy, where they are putting text over the images and it's really telling a story as you swipe through them. I have done them where I put different tweets or threads on top of cool photos like pizza, or I'll do a food photo thread and put, text on top of them, or hotels I love to stay at, or just whatever kind of vibe. And then I'll put text that's more relevant to like my audience on there. I'll put a example right here. But if you mix up those carousels, have them have some personality, they get so much exposure. You can get a lot of views. And the cool thing is you can double up and push these on threads. So you're kind of repurposing. And I really feel like the threads and Instagram algorithm kind of bounce off of each other. So sharing your posts to threads from Instagram or vice versa, sharing your Instagram posts to threads is also another great strategy to get those views up. Plus, Threads has bonuses now. So you can actually make money just by simply sharing your Instagram posts to Threads if they perform really well over there. And then also with your reels, you can mix those up. They don't all have to be like talking head reels where you're talking directly to the camera. You can have some talking head reels. You can also have reels where it's B-roll with text rolling on top of it. You can also do green screens where, I've thought to do like brand breakdowns, or I had a series called How They Grew with influencers, and I would green screen share some images and stuff of them as I talked about them. So there are ways that you can mix up your Instagram content to just give it some more flair. This will help keep your audience engaged, which in turn helps boost your visibility in the algorithm. And lastly, prioritizing Instagram stories. I feel like this is kind of the bottom of the totem pole, although Instagram stories are still very relevant. If you post, at least stay active on them throughout the week. I do recommend taking one day off, letting your stories kind of be gone for about 24 hours and then reposting or then posting again, because I don't know, it's something about taking that day off that kind of gives you an extra boost in the algorithm after you come back. So like once you post after you've had a break into stories, I have always noticed a huge spike in my story views after that, which is so weird, but it works. Okay, next tip is to have a cadence to your content. This does not mean you need to have a niche. It just means that your content should have a certain vibe or feel to it. It doesn't all have to look the same, but it should look branded toward you. Now, I'm not saying if your brand colors are like pink and blue that every post needs pink and blue in it. And I'm not saying everything has to be overly beige or use the same filter. But what I am saying is having some type of consistency with how your content looks is really going to help people be able to identify your content as they're scrolling. Now, SEO with Instagram is constantly changing because the algorithm is constantly changing. And I feel like whenever anyone says SEO, it's kind of like over people's heads. It's like, what is that? That seems like such a big word or such a big thing. Really, search engine optimization is what it stands for. And it's really just how are you able to populate in the search engines. And with Instagram, I wouldn't say it's the most search-friendly platform in general, but what boosting your SEO on Instagram looks like is using a few hashtags. Yes, hashtags apparently are still a thing on Instagram, because I had a call with them not too long ago and they were like 8 hashtags is like the optimal amount. So if you want to use hashtags, and they said use them in the actual caption, not in the comments, by the way. So if you want to optimize with some hashtags, not too many, even if you do like 3 to 5 at the bottom of your caption. Another way to use SEO is simply by having text in your video. So having, if it is a chocolate chip cookie recipe, like having text that says chocolate chip cookies, either in the caption or in the video, saying chocolate chip cookies, sharing the recipe verbally, like all of these things contribute to SEO without you even really having to do anything. So don't overthink the SEO part of it, but be sure that you're using those terms and those phrases throughout the content, so that way the SEO is actually SEOing. You get what I'm saying? Next up is calls to action. And with calls to action, they can be a little bit tricky just because you don't always want to feel like you're being super salesy, pushing people to something every single post. But at the same time, you do want to maximize your use of the platform. And so if you have a business or if you have a brand that you want people to, go frequent or buy from, then you will need calls to action. There is a way to do it though. And maybe I'll do a full video just on how to sell on social media without being overly salesy. But moral of the story is you want to find a good balance of that content where you're really pushing calls to action versus the content that's just good to watch. It's entertaining, it's educational, or it's informational or whatever. And you just have that without any ask at the end. It's very easy for people to get fatigued with all the calls to action all the time. Now, I will say this is very dependent on the type of content you have. So if you are a fashion influencer and you are constantly, sharing your outfits and people always want the details and blah, 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 then yes, of course, you're probably going to be having lots of calls to actions or sharing lots of links for people to click or whatever. But if you don't really fall into the category of that's what people know you for and that's the value you provide in terms of people want those links, people want the calls to action because they want to purchase exactly what you have, and you're kind of trying to sell them on something versus they just want what you have, I hope that makes sense, then there is a difference. So have the calls to action. There are many ways you can do this. You really want to put your best calls to action at very strong pieces of content. So if you're sharing, like for example, I shared this amazing timer that I love. And at the end, of course, like if I'm going to share all of the best features of this timer, then there should be some type of call to action so that people can then engage and buy it. So pick and choose which pieces of content make the most sense for calls to action. And then you can also get creative with them. You can do mini chat. You can use that as a tool to get those automated DMs. So if people comment under that post, like if they comment timer under that post, then it'll automatically DM the link. I have found that this provides the best conversion rate versus just sending them to your bio. So there are different ways that you can do calls to action, but I think overall be mindful of them, but don't be scared of them. And then lastly, sharing your posts to threads. I kind of touched on this already, but threads, Instagram really is pushing threads. They really want people to be on there. They have threads bonuses now where you can get paid for posting on threads. And so if you have Instagram posts, even if they didn't perform very well on Instagram, there are some posts that me and my husband have posted onto threads and they perform better on threads than they have on Instagram. And we have a fraction of the followers on there. So don't be afraid to use threads. Instagram also is pushing threads on the actual app of Instagram. So you never know if one of your threads posts is going to populate in someone's Instagram feed. So they're very interwoven. So, naturally it makes sense to kind of share and cross promote those posts to each platform. So that is another way you can get the algorithm to love you. Okay. But overall, I hope this video was helpful. Let me know if you want a full video on calls to action, and make sure you check out that Nikon Z30 if you want to amp up your video quality. I will link that in the description box. All right. I hope you enjoyed this, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.